Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Chappie with Intense, and today's edition of Tech Tutorials, we're going to walk you through the service and maintenance of our three variety of lower links on our mountain bikes. First being the trail bike, which you see here. The next will be the Enduro link on our Carbine and Tracer, and then the next will be the downhill link on our M16. So here we have our Recluse, 2018 Recluse, and over on the non-drive side, you'll see the lower link pivot bolts are easiest to access over here, of course. So we're going to begin with the first simple service. Typically around that 5-hour mark, we do this on any one of our bikes as they go through the break-in process. So yeah, we'll begin. So we'll need 5mm Allen, an 8mm torque wrench set to 7 Newton meters, and that's kind of where we're going to start for this. So start cracking these 5mm open. Kind of a little trick with these guys, because they can be a little bit tough sometimes if they've been sitting in the bike for a while, is take the 5mm Allen head with no bolt on it, just put it just inside the conical and just give it a little pull over to the side and it'll pop it right out. So now we'll put down our 5mm and go to our 8mm torque wrench. And pretty much just simply we're going to break it free. Always break the bolts free before you retorque, making sure we get the accurate torque readings. Okay, so set it back over, give it a tug. There we are, 7 there. Come back over to swing arm, same thing. There you go, just as simple as that. Grab our 5mm wrench, our conical bolt. Slide those puppies right back in there. And these we'll torque down to 11 Newton meters. And then a service like this, pretty standard practice. It's very easy to do yourself, and it'll aid the life of the bearings and maintain the best performance of the bike possible. So that's just the retorquing of the lower link. Next we'll move on to actually servicing the lower link. All right, so next we're going to move on to the actual service of the lower link for the trail bike. So we're going to start by removing the rear wheel. Make life a little easier when managing the lower link. Pull that puppy off. Set it to the side. To throw the axle back in there so it takes up most of the chain slap. So next we're going to take our 5mm Allen and we are going to loosen the bolts and the actual conical washers. Now if these guys jam up or get wedged in there, which is what they're supposed to do, lock everything in place, just take the end of your 5mm Allen, set the tip in there and just give it a little pop and it should pop right out. So you can do that with both the forward and the rearward pivot. Next, we're going to take the 8mm and we're going to remove the actual pivot axle assembly. Loosen that guy up. I like to leave him in there to kind of hold everything together while I loosen all the hardware. Pull that off. That is our pivot axle end cap. We've got 2 of those for both the top and the bottom. Now we'll pull the lower pivot axle out first, typically the easiest. And watch out for our bearing end caps. It's those little guys right there. Not a big deal if they fall on the ground, but we just need to make sure we clean them well before we put them back in. Next, same thing with the top. Slide this right out of the back side of the rear. And same thing, remove those. You've removed the lower link of your Trail Edition JS Tune link. And we're going to wipe it all down, clean everything up, re-grease it, and reinstall it. You're going to wipe it all up, make sure all bearing surfaces are nice and clean. Make sure the bearings are functioning properly. If they're not, we do have a service kit available on our website. Same thing with the bearing end caps. Clean all those up real nice. You're going to reapply grease to the bearing face surfaces. I like to use the white grease from Pedro's. But basically, we're just going to apply a little bit to the inside edge of each bearing race. Make sure it's coated well. Next step, it's actually kind of a little trick, is just to throw the actual bearing end caps back on the length. The nice generous coating of grease on those bearing surfaces will help them to stick. So we're going to move in. We have the etching towards facing the front of the bike and the bumper towards the bottom or pressing up against the bottom bracket. We're going to take that, we're going to slide it right into the eye box. Slide that there. We're going to grab our pivot axles. Well, top and bottom, they're both the same, so no need to worry. Slide those bad boys in there. Get those lined up and the threads started. Always start your threads before you put a wrench on it. It just eliminates the possibility of cross threading. So now we'll take our 8mm Allen key and we're just gonna turn those suckers right in, just a snug, because we're gonna come back with a torque wrench and retorque. Come back with our 8mm torque wrench set to 7 Newton meters. And pull it till it clicks. There we are. Generally just 2 clicks is all you need. Anything more, it might give you an inaccurate reading. Back to the 5mm and our conical washers with our Allen bolt. I'm just going to throw those puppies back in there. And then these will be torqued to 11 Newton meters. And there we are on that one. Just to throw your pivot axle end caps in. Pretty simple step. So next step is we're going to put the chain back on the chain ring and the wheel back in. Pull your derailleur back, chain on the smallest ring or smallest gear on the cassette. Slide that puppy right in. And the rear axle will also come back with a torque wrench and torque to 11 Newton meters. The lower link service of the Trail Edition JS Tune Link.